Yes. So Mel is IT exec, cybersecurity expert turned executive coach. And Mel was a boot camper many years ago. And what I can tell you of Mel is his sense of humor is amazing. His commitment to other people is incredible. And he is just high caliber, high quality person that you want to know. So, Mel, thank you so much for joining us. And I gladly turn it over to you and take it away.
Oh, uh, how do I follow that, Christy? Really? Really? Anybody that knows me, see, I usually keep a box of tissues right next to me. Thank you for that intro. That was beautiful. Thank you for, I see a few familiar faces. Um, I've been on a journey. I'm going to take you on, and I'm going to latch you on to my wonderful journey that I've been on by sharing some of the things that I know have helped me, helped my teams, and helped a lot of other folks that I know really get through, um, including the boot camp, including the thing. I mean, these are things that I've just collected over the last, I hate to say this, but over 30 years, right? So I hate dating myself, but I will date myself. Um, and what I realized was there were things that I was doing for my teams, I was doing for uh, companies, but I wasn't doing for myself. Right? So a lot of things that you're going to hear, I may refer to self, or I may refer to team, or I may refer to family, I may refer to, it's all in that same context, right? So talking about skills gaps or things you want to do, right? There's all kinds of wonderful little concepts that you're going to start to see trickle in here. At the end of the day, it is about growth, and it is about a lot of wonderful things that I know I've gone through. So I may blow through these just so that I can give enough time for, let's see, I'm gonna time myself. All right. I'm gonna share the secret of how I've been able to do all of the wonderful things that I've been able to do, kind of some of the resources, some of the ways that I found that worked for me, but for also for a lot of other folks. And then just how to, if you're already doing some of these things, just mark them off as a check. Keep doing them. If you're not, start to figure out if you want to do them. But the things that will get you there. I don't know if you can hear the music in the background, but I have the X Files theme playing in the background. So think the X Files music. Okay, I'm just wanted to set this up because I'm about to give you the secret. It's really
Well,
simple.
I just want to
Um,
interrupt. Your
30
full screen
years.
isn't showing up.
Sorry, I have so much music blaring in the background now I can't hear it. But hold on a second. I'm going to share 30 years of we could end this call right after this slide. Okay. The secret is there is no secret. There is no magic formula. It's literally all about making sure you have intentional and purposeful actions towards what you want to do. That's it. Okay. So now what, Mel? Now you've dropped the bomb. You haven't given me the secret. There's no magic golden ticket. Uh, let's go through what we can try to talk about. And again, I'm going to try to go a little bit fast. These are the three things that I'm going to talk about. And for you, you may be looking for skills assessments. You may be looking for some life altering. Yeah, I'm not here for that. I'm here to kind of just tell you what I've seen work for me, colleagues, teams, as well as my clients. Introspective work, the groundwork for what you do, groundwork for what PRG and a lot of is introspective work. What do I know? What have I done? Am I proud of that? How can I build on that? All of these wonderful things. What do I need to get rid of? The growth. Okay, now what I need to learn. What do I want? And then how, and this is the last one. This is the one that I love. This is why I love PhD. This is why I love doing things that I do, is the contribution back, right? What's your legacy going to be? So let's walk through that. You know what they all do? They all require massive action. They all require you to stop watching the 74-hour marathon of Netflix. They all require you to make purposeful decisions of taking massive actions on things you want to do. I'm going to keep highlighting the word want versus need. as we move forward. And thank you, Bill, for acknowledging, because it means you're in the know on the difference. Thank you. Introspective work, right? If you don't have a core understanding of the view of yourself and your experience, the values of what you bring to the table, as in what you grew up with and what you want, your beliefs. If you don't have the ability to be able to be vulnerable and share and have a voice and create a vision, then that's the first thing that I want everybody to try to start to think about. I created a simple PDF with 3 questions across those 3. So it's views, values, vulnerability, voice, and vision. That is a core schedule and a path that I give to everyone to go through. I'll post the link in the chat after I'm done, but that's part of being authentic, core, and how to build the trust and all of the other wonderful things. So all of these 4 are going to be, I'm going to go through very quickly. Number 1, I show up. And today I took off all my rings, but I usually have rings all the way across. I usually have my white hoodie on, but as I was trying to figure out why my computer and why everything else wasn't working, I was like, ah. But I usually show up the way I want to show up.
Not here
I
waiting.
speak the way I want to speak. I do what I want to do. Right? Why? Because I don't want to constantly be code switching. I don't want to constantly have to wear something in one occasion or one group and not wear, what I feel is comfortable. So I've shown up to executive dinners and meetings in linen pants and canvas shoes with a white hoodie, right? Everybody else was dressed as they wanted to. I just didn't feel like dressing that way or any way like that, for it. So when I talk about being authentic, it really is just show up, be you, right? Put down the guard. If you didn't want to wear those shoes, but you felt like they were the standard, don't wear them. Don't wear them. Find what's good for you. So I want to tell you a story about one of the most inspirational, one of the most motivating and really brightest and smartest person I've ever met. Me. Okay. I am the inspiration. I am as smart as I am because I have a limit, and I'm going to keep getting smarter. I'm going to keep energizing myself. I'm going to keep motivating myself. I don't have, a poster of my ideal person on my wall, right? I don't look for validation as in, I want to be the Tony Robbins of XYZ, or no. I learn from everyone, but I am the person that I want to make sure shows up, gives, and does whatever. But I want to give you, this is a picture of me, one of my wonderful uniforms, as I like to call them. And I want you to kind of just highlight and look through, a little bit of my background, and in the chat, kind of type in, what do you feel? What do you see if this was what was presented to you? If this was the only thing on the slide, one word, like, give me your impression or your summary or your adjective.
Hey Mel, real quick, would you put it into full screen?
Full screen.
I think you might be sharing the other monitor if you've got 2.
Oh, son of a biscuit.
We're just getting into it, so I just thought, oh, fantastic. Now we can all read it. Thank you so much.
Now I see I see your comment here. All right, so Bill, confidence. Come on, I need a couple more of these in here. Come on. Sharing the wrong screen. God. Okay, just keep one more strike, and I'm authentic. Thank you. Okay, but again, just based off what you're reading here in that picture. Come on, one more person needs to chime in. This is an interactive session. I forgot to mention that. Successful. Thank you, John. Okay, now what if, now they're all coming in. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody was honest, right? Almost, I read that as you're full of yourself, but I get it, right? Right. This is a bit ostentatious. So, you've got all these wonderful accolades, right? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Now, what if I told you, what if you saw this picture and I said, my first job was at a public library. And at the same time, I worked at Burger King. And at Burger King, when they gave me a 5-cent raise after 3 months, I quit and I got a 15-cent raise down the road at McDonald's. What if I told you that my first coding project was to create a nuclear reactor simulator in high school after learning how to code at said library? What if I told you that I'm a first generation, pretty much everything, college, within my brother's, family, everything else. Uh, Thought I wanted to be an accountant, and I'm not sure if y'all know the amount of work and whatnot. I got a scholarship for accounting. I went in and I said within 2 weeks, I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this. I'm not reading laws every year on tax deductions, this, that, and the other. And because I still love computers, I said, well, let me see if I could switch. By my sophomore year, I had officially switched my major. I lost my scholarship, by half of my scholarship. And that was the year that my mother decided she wanted to move back to Puerto Rico. So not only did I lose half a scholarship, I lost the home and da 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 da. So I've taken all of those experiences and now I've become a nonprofit founder. I've led a multi-million billion dollar teams through safety and how to grow and how to expand their lives. Now, what do you think about me? Yes, I'm soon to be running a marathon. Also, risk taker, tenacious, right? So again, how you introduce yourself, how vulnerable you are with what you share, how authentic you show up makes a difference. Makes a difference if you're going into a new job and you're inheriting a team or you're joining a team. Makes a difference with your colleagues, with different associations. So when I say show up, and you'll see me hashtag that and put that in all kinds of wonderful posts, that's what I mean. I mean, show up, and we've all been through, and you'll hear me say this also a lot, dramas and traumas, right? We've always been over vulnerable, share too much, and people take advantage of us. We learn through that. We kind of read people. We can see what they're doing and what they're not doing. Those are the important things for you to kind of take in and say, yes, I could be, I could be a forest ranger, 1,700 miles away from people and not be subject to any more drama or trauma. Or I can try to find the right people to pull in. I can try to find the right people who are receptive, who are respectful, who aren't going to take advantage of me emotionally, physically, or financially. And I say these things to be as candid as possible because I know it still happens and I hear it and I see it. So be vulnerable, be open, be authentic, and still have your eye on the trigger to make sure you know when to pull the cord and bail. Um, I talk to folks a lot about the human needs. Human needs are critical to everything we do. So I know you may be thinking this is not anything to do with my job search and everything else, but understanding these core pieces will be right. Understanding the importance of these. And what I share with folks is I tell them, listen, I could probably help you with number one, number two, three, maybe not so much four, but we could talk about that one later. 5 and 6, right? And the most important thing about it is just making sure that you're at a point where you understand the level of certainty and assurance and the pains and the gains, right? And that's why I talk about knowing your views of yourself and what other people think of you, the values and the vulnerability, right? There's a certainty that we want. There's also an uncertainty and a challenge and a variety that we want. The significance of what we do, how we do it, and making sure that you understand every one of us brings something super unique to the table. Showcase it, love it, enjoy it, learn more, do more of it, and the growth and contribution. When I talk about contribution, you're going to hear me say give back. You're going to hear me say the go-giver. You're going to hear me say all of those things. Why? Because that's where you get to at a specific level. So let's start with what I call unshackling limiting beliefs. Now, chime in with a thumbs up or a reaction or do jumping jacks if you agree with or said this to yourself or in your head or verbally or to a colleague. I don't know where to start. I can't afford those courses. I can't pass those tests. I don't have any resources. I don't have anyone to help. I can't seem to get the concepts. Okay. So again, chime in, thumbs up. If you've said to yourself at any point, not like yesterday, at any point in your life, I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to go. How would I start that? How would I start my business? I don't know how to do my resume. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, John. Right. And this is what swirls in our head all the time, right? Because we don't. What if I told you one word, and you may have heard this before, but I love saying this. One word could erase that feeling of being drained and being sucked into this vortex of you don't know what to do. That's it. That's my secret right there. Right. Yet, right. If you get into a mindset of I don't know how to parachute yet, guess what your next step is? You research it. You tell people, I want to go parachuting, right? You start to put the message out there. You bring it into existence in your head. How much does it cost? You do the research. Where can I go? What, right? Yet. But if you say, yeah, I don't know how to parachute, and you put a period there, it's done. It's over. You're never going to do it. You're never going to accomplish it. You're never going to push yourself towards that yet, right? Towards that potential of what you could be doing right now. So, yet all the time. If you're like, well, I'm not a growth mindset kind of person. Okay, that's great. Just put yet at the end of it, and you might start to be, right? Right. So I don't know how to properly cook a filet mignon. I personally wouldn't want to spend 600, 700, $800 trying to properly try to figure out how to cook a filet mignon. So I may pay $200 to go to a cooking class, right? But there's a yet to everything, right? There's a yet to everything. I could tell you there's a lot of things I don't know how to do, but if I want to do them, I'll figure it out. All right, folks. So we talked about introspective work. Chime in or raise your hand if you've actually chime in with your results in the chat if you've taken any of these, right? Let's see how vulnerable and open everybody is on this call, because I know y'all have taken at least one of these, right? And I could share all of mine. Disc, a high CI, okay. Russ, go for it. Yes. What did you type it in? What do you do? Okay. Okay. Hi. Oh, look at that. Right. Why do we take these assessments? Right. We take these assessments. Keep going. Yeah. Strength finders. Keep going. Throw it in there. We take these assessments to get kind of a baseline. It's funny. I treat it like the tarot card reading. Right. It's it's a perspective and a view. It doesn't have to be a 100% match, right? 5 years ago, I took one of the assessments and it said I was an influencer. And now think about it. 5 years ago, I was like, I don't, I'm not an influencer, right? I'm not on YouTube or TikTok or blah, 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 right? I'm like, no, but it got me into a different mindset. I said, but I received that message. And what did I do? I said, okay, if I'm an influencer, I'm going to push to be an influencer. So how do I influence people? By motivating them, by doing things, by joining groups, right? So, and I'm like, okay, all right, I don't have a million hits on something, so I'm not that influencer, but I got 20 likes on something, I got 40 likes on something, and I was like, good, okay. Took the assessment again at the end of last year, and I said to myself, I don't think anything's going to change. But again, my values, my beliefs, where I am, literally did have a transformative change in the last 4 to 5 years. I can walk you through the story of how I used to live an hour north of New York City. In July 2020, I moved to California. That's for another day. At the end of last year, I became a motivator, apparently. Right. So a slight shift, and I'm like, that I will accept, that I will receive, and that I will manifest into the universe and stratosphere, because I absolutely feel like a motivator. Right. So receive what you can, see if you can make the adjustment into believing it or adjusting it. right? Why did it come this? Why did it show up that I was an XYZ? I don't feel that way. So that means I may want to start to think about the things that'll help me grow in the direction I want. I want to be seen as a leader. I want to be seen as this. So if you know you're very detail oriented and you want to be a leader, well, guess what? Start doing the leadership skills assessments, courses, and putting yourself closer and closer to the leadership piece. This is some of the most important. I've done all of these, by the way, because and I've done some of them a couple of times because I want to know more about what's in my head. What are my feelings? What are my emotions? Um, so let's go through the personal struggles. Well, Mel, I have 2 jobs, 3 kids, one of them in college. The car just broke down. My parents are going to be moving in with us. The house is falling apart. I barely have, enough food for the family. We all live through personal struggles, and there's some references here to cybersecurity and professionals and the stresses of that. With some of these slides, I had to update for another presentation, and I forgot to go through them for this one. I did remove a bunch from here that weren't specific to this topic, but at the end of the day, we all have those stressors, right? We all have the personal, the professional. When do I have time? I will tell you, if you can find time to watch 6 episodes of something on TV, because that's your downtime, then you might be able to take an hour to do the research on the things you want to do that are going to get you there, right? Use the atomic habits, right? For every one show I want to watch, I have to do half hour of research on something else, right? Try and reward yourself and punish yourself by having to jog up and down the steps, right? Use all of the different techniques that are out there to try to get yourself motivated. Um, Growing. And I'm going to actually skip through this one because, again, this is one of those slides that I did not get to go through. But now this is the slide on growth, right? Well, Mel, what kind of careers, what kind of areas should I focus on? If I were to do introspective work and I feel great, I can champion the living shit out of teams, this, that, and the other. Well, these are some of the key areas across the board that I feel are the most important right now that have the biggest traction that can get you in any role. And you're like, well, Mel, I'm not a cybersecurity person. You're right. But are you a business analyst? Are you a financial person? Right. These are the, whether it's banking, finance, or any of the other types of companies that are at high risk for all of these types of functions, vendor management. Any company that's out there has to work with other companies. Right. So are you good at documentation? Are you good at financial? Are you then repurpose all of your experience to say, oh, I can probably help you with this. Now, the next thing that I love is when people are like, Mel, you're in cybersecurity, you're a CISO, you get to see these hacks. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Guess what? And they're like, but I'm only a BA and I don't know how to get in there. I'm like, I tell you what, I'm going to give you the 5 core skills for you to champion to be the best IT cybersecurity person. And I would normally engage and ask people that, for this, but let me actually go ahead and thumbs up or chime in if you're good at being logical with reasoning and troubleshooting, right? Following workflows and paths, right? Chime in, thumbs up. All right. Thank you, Mike. Okay. Are you good? You have the ability to be able to research, adapt, and learn new information, right? I handed you a manual and said, figure out this system, or I handed you a link with a help, right? All right. Thank you. Are you a self-starter, after that weekend of binging Shogun on Hulu? Uh, it was so good. And I saw it before the awards. I just want to make sure everybody knows, right? Do you have the ability to be able to speak, communicate, write, and kind of really pull together and summarize and have great verbal skills, right? Great on documentation, organizational skills, understanding not just how to organize projects, timelines, Gantt charts, everything else, but people and everything else. Well, guess what? You can be in cybersecurity, you can be in IT, you can be in anything you want, because the core fundamental skills of what we've learned and what we do are there. You just have to translate them, and you have to do a little bit of learning on the 700 cybersecurity acronyms that come out and all the different concepts around the domains. So if you're looking at any of the transformational career changes, right? Maybe you're in IT now and you want to become an underwater basket weaver, right? You don't know how to do that yet, right? Figure it out. Next, this is my GSD set of slides. This is like, well, Mel, how did you do it? How did you move your family, your 3 daughters and your wife in on July on around July 2020 after making a commitment to leave the East Coast and move to California, and then 2 months later quit your job, and then really, kind of transform the fact that you did nearly 500 mentoring sessions in 2020, and you also read 52 books. How did you do that, Mel? Tell you what, Eisenhower Matrix, TRAF, and I'll walk you through that one, time blocking, eating the frog, and every other godforsaken technique I could find to figure out which one worked for me. Okay. If you've never done an Eisenhower matrix, I'm going to tell you right now, it was life changing. I did it both personally and professionally back in 2018 and 19. And I would tell you right now, one of the hardest things to do is to delegate and find people to delegate to, right? Delete, I was kind of okay with, but the real issue was, I wasn't a micromanager, but I was a little OCD about the quality of certain things, and so I had to release some of the anxiety that I had. But if you've never run these, I have a link on my site as well for just a simple spreadsheet that automatically kind of categorizes it. But it's really important for you to actually do this kind of work with your skills, with what you want to do to hone in on that top left quadrant, what you want to do. Because the more you focus on what you want to do, the more successful you are, the happier you are. I'm going to blow through this one very quickly. So remember that I was talking about, I worked at the library and then I went to Burger King. Well, I left the library and I started to work at a teacher's center. Now here I am, 17. I'm at a teacher's resource center for the school districts, and I'm helping them with tech, and I'm helping them, organize. They had a small library, and I'm pulling these books that are there. I'm like, you know what? Can I borrow this one for to read it? And one of them was called The Organized Executive. And in The Organized Executive, they talked about TRAF. And it was a process that you could go through to get rid of stuff and organize stuff. Now, mind you, this is, okay, I'm going to throw out the date, but don't shoot me, people, 1987. Okay. So technology was just on the brink of really, so a lot of this was organizing files on your desk or right. So, but the concepts were there. 2 seconds, and it's 4 different categories, but I originally thought it was 3. I thought it was, well, I'm going to walk you through it. First concept is toss it. Do you actually need it? Second concept is refer it. Can somebody else do it? Third one is act on it. Fourth one is file it. So that's how it had it in the book, right? But at 17, I didn't have anybody to refer to it, right? I didn't have anybody to delegate to it. So I kind of flipped it and I called it fat, right? Trim the fat, get organized, I had a stack of magazines that I had subscribed to, this, that, and the other. I'm like, nope, I got to trim the fat. Which ones do I need? Throw the rest away, trim the fat, get organized. So now mind you, 2 decades of this. Just right. I'm making 2 to 3 second decisions. Do I need this? Nope. Do I need this? Nope. All right. If you can't answer it quickly, it's a no. Right. So I go back to the book so I can write an article on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh wait, there's an R. So I'm like, well, I could file it, action it, or toss it. And I'm like, well, where's the R? And all of a sudden I was like, oh, this whole time it could have been fart. Right. But I didn't. It's TRAF. Right. So the reason I say this is that's the same. Thank you, Bill. That was the same expression that I had when I reread that second. I'm like, oh, it could have been fart. It could have been a really smelly process for the last 20 years. Time boxing. Time boxing, I use it all the time. It's the only way I stay sane when I've got 1,700 arrows coming in at me. And I love that scene from the movie Hero. I use that image all the time. I'm gonna have to add it in here. You've got 17,000 arrows coming toward you, and you're just standing there like, all right, I'm gonna die, right? Like this is death by 1,000 arrows or cuts because your schedule. So this is an actual screenshot of, now, mind you, this is weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ahead is what it should be. By the time the week comes, you understand what happens, right? You have to make some concessions, right? But the focus times are what I look at. Now, I ended up updating this since then, so I alternate my focus times. Here I'm calling them team and ops reviews, right? But now I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the afternoon as focus time, and Tuesday and Thursday in the morning as focus time. Right. And then I figure out which, and I adjust it. Maybe sometimes I move it, depending on when I feel efficient and whatnot. But without that focus time, people are going to eat your calendar. You know what the most powerful word that I started to use in 2019 that helped me with the 2020 move? No. Decline. Right? Because I was inundated with meeting invites and inundated with priorities and inundated with like, I tell you what, why don't you take care of that meeting and just send me a summary because I can't make it, right? I can't have back to back to back to back to back calls. Don't get me wrong, I'm no saint, and today is going to be a back to back to back to back call day, but I just got back from traveling, so it's okay. Eat the frog. It's really simple. It is what it is. If you haven't read the book, if you don't understand the concept, here it is. Take a screenshot, suck it up, just do it, right? The hardest, longest, worst thing that you need to do it in the morning, get it over with, get the stressors, do a dry cleanse, just, clear it out, right? It does help, right? I typically do these at the end of the night because my end of the night is usually other people's mornings, but that's a whole other conversation. So why do I focus on these, right? And honestly, I've tried pretty much every single one of them, right? There's so many different techniques. Find what works for you. Find what you can stick with, right? Those are the ones that Atomic Habits, I'm about like a 50-50 on that. I have some great habits that I was able to continue. Some, yeah, maybe not so much. That link there is, I love to read. Read, people. Reading is fundamental, right? It's if you know that PSA from the 80s, then you're with me with the old tribe or with the mature tribe, with the educated tribe, whatever you want to call it. Okay. But all of these, you have to try them. You have to figure out what works for me, adjust them, tweak them. That's part of this growth piece. Now that you've gotten through there's multiple layers of this, right? When we first start off in our life, we think we want to learn one thing and we learn it. And we're like, okay, maybe I'll adjust and I'll learn this. And then you find that hook. You find that thing where you're like, I can get paid to do this and I kind of like it. And you continue to grow. So then you go in for your 10,000 hours and your multi-year. Oh, I went from this to this to this and I love it, love it, love it, love it. And somehow you ended up having a core skill that you feel pretty damn confident about. Right. Well, guess what? 5, 10, 15, or 20 years of experience that you've gone through is 5, 10, or 20 years more experience than somebody else has. So this is where I start to flip the script on folks to say, start looking at the give back. Start looking at how you can contribute to anything to help people educate and elevate their lives, right? Even if you only have 5 years of experience for something, that's again 5 years more. If you gave someone one tip, one link, one little reference, one quote, that could get them accelerated faster than none. I think about it as not having an ally, an advocate, or anything else in my life that I thought really could help me. I had some guardrails. I had some genuinely great people who gave me some advice. But if you could purposely and intentionally help people and know that you can kind of build and grow with them as well, this is huge. This is the give back. That picture right there was 2 days after I landed in California. The Santa Monica mountain range is right across from me. I took a pretty steep, significant hike, and I took a picture of the sun just beaming back down as I was looking over back into the street and the area that I was living in. It inspired me. You see the Quest for the West hashtag. That's what I branded it back in 2019 and 2020. So everybody would know what my goal was. Everybody knew the date that I set, and everybody knew why, because I wanted to give back, to educate and elevate. And I was not finding the time in the East Coast. So I was like, no, if I can't find the time and I can't find the location, I can't find anything else, I'm just going to relocate. And I did it. So being a leader is all about it's not about standing on a podium. It's just about sharing. It's about giving back to your teams, your family, or otherwise. And this is again, some of these are specific saying cybersecurity, but just remove that, right? Proper education, training, and everything else. Right. This is what we all need to think about. The stressors. We need to think about the investment that we make, our companies make, and others make around this. Investing in training and development. If you have a team, or if you've got a group and you're at a leadership level or were, know that the investment you're making in people is absolutely incredibly well received, and they were going to be more they're going to be more in tune with giving back and being more productive to that effort. So the investments are there. Mentoring and coaching. This is why I do what I do, right? At the end of the day, you can be a mentor or a coach, right? You don't have to get paid for it. I didn't get paid for it for a while, right? There's people that that I helped even till this day for the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, actually probably about 10 years. And even some of the folks on my teams, helping them land, helping them kind of get out of their head. It'll never end, but it's so rewarding that it's incredible to actually see the smiles and people go through and learn from what I've done. This is my great colleague, Kristen Lammer. I love this quote. Every day, stand in yourself and know your worth, and then unleash it, right? You need to be able to take all of what I just said and really digest it and take massive action. You can't just sit there and say, that was a great presentation. Thanks, Mel. I'm inspired. And then go get a cup of coffee and then go take a nap and then just be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe tomorrow, maybe a Sunday. No. So, well, Mel, what should I do? Here's the suggestions. And I'll make this PDF available afterwards as well. But here's the suggestions. You want these suggestions? Also on my site, you're going to be able to find the a link to my top what was it, 50 top 50 recommended books. Most of these are on there. There's the link for the free resources as well. So you're gonna have the book, you're gonna have the toolbar, the tool icon. All those are where the PDFs and everything else are, right? These are the books that I would recommend on learning. These are the books I would recommend for building teams and understanding team dynamics and being able to create culture. Okay. These are the books on leadership that I would recommend. Right. And I'll leave this here. Again, I'm going to send this PDF out. And with that said, take those pieces and nuggets, and I want to say thank you to everyone. And again, apologies for being late. I did have to do quite a bit of travel. I'll leave this QR code open for the next 5 seconds. After that, it will self-destruct. But
That's
okay.
cute.
Wow, I have 10 minutes. I don't think I've ever done that presentation that fast.
Well, that's okay. Speed is good sometimes. You got a lot of stuff in there. We love that.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Do we want to open it up to questions? We can certainly just if you want to raise your hand, Amber and I and John will watch if you've got more questions you'd like to ask. Sergio, I see a hand.
Hi, Mel. Great presentation. Thank you
Hello.
for taking the time to to enlighten our lives. And by the way, my comment about connecting the dots, it's all about. I was listening to Steve Jobs' speech at the graduation, and it's all about connecting the dots. A lot of times you don't think experience you acquire is going to help you. You have to have been working in Burger King. You have to be working in the library. Have to be cybersecurity in order to be where you are right now. And thank you.
Right.
I'll allow other people to comment, but thank you. Thanks to
So,
the
I love
Platinum
this,
Group.
Sergio. I will tell you, one of the things that I learned from working at Burger King is you do not want to be on the burger. You don't want to be the guy who makes the burgers when Burger King has a 2-for-1 sale. And because I lived in New York, the West Point buses came, the cadets, the West Point cadets were traveling through, and I think 2 of their buses decided to eat at our Burger King, and they had the 2-for-1 on the burgers. And now they're cadets. They're kind of hungry. Almost every single one of them ordered 4. So you want to talk about how do I correlate the Burger King experience of running through 2 buses
Managing.
of burgers to cybersecurity stress, right? And incident management and all that. Yeah, that was so early on in my life. I was in that hustle, right? I was in that
Did you
panic
block
mode.
schedule it? Did you block schedule it?
I did not. And that one threw my schedule off. I thought it was going to be an easy night, and all of a sudden 2 buses show up, right? And we are flipping through burgers like crazy, right? We are adjusting the line. It was incredible. But again, those experiences, that endurance, me having to walk, I know this sounds like like I walked barefoot, 1,700 miles to school. No, but I walked about 4 miles, 4 or 5 miles from the library to Burger King. Right. Every now and then I would get a ride or whatever. But yeah, but those are the things that we need to build on. Right. All of those experiences.
And by the way, being unique, Wing Lam, I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. He goes with his Donald McDonald's socks to every reunion, and he's unique. And I really appreciate somebody that presents herself as themselves.
I love that. Art, long time no see.
Hi, Mel. Nice seeing you again.
Yeah.
Great presentation. Thank you for that, all the tips.
Thank you.
One question on the delegation. Do you have any tips on how to delegate securely? Because I have a lot of things that I would like to delegate, but I need to share my password or something, and I'm a little bit sensitive about that. So I don't know what you're
Yes.
delegating right now that you can give us some examples.
So one of the first so I hear you. So one of the first things that I ended up having to do was I had to try to figure out what I could delegate, right? What could somebody do that was just a real pain in the behind for me to just get through. Let's say, for example, managing my LinkedIn messages, or managing my inbox, or clearing out my inbox of junk. Super highly sensitive, super highly critical. I still haven't gotten to that point, but I was able to at least break out with, for example, LinkedIn. You have to build a level of trust, and you have to build a level of training, right? Exactly what you want them to do to the 80-90% range, right? So that it's clear communications, ask questions. The only way I could delegate one of those functions this summer was to actually hire my daughter to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're right. It's highly sensitive. Right. So what did I do? I had already started to set up 1Password with my family. So we created a shared folder of passwords. And as I was working with my daughter on a few things, I said, hey, I'm going to need you to do this. Be careful. And I shared the set of credentials in 1Password, so they don't actually have full exposure. They're not writing it on a piece of paper. And otherwise, that's one way I was able to get that. But the other way is there are some systems that'll create that, multiple inbound into things. And if it's emails, that one's a tricky one as well. But it's with tasks, it's clear guidelines, clear training, show them an example of shit you've done before. Sorry, stuff you've done before, and then give them a dry run. Hey, you go ahead and try this one, right? But don't publish it until you've got, until we review it, you tweak, right? And it's if I could delegate everything, I will tell you right now, I would, right? I can't find the people. I can't find the time to build the trust, to build the training fast enough, right? And sometimes I just can't afford it, right? So it's really trying to find that mix. That's why I do pay my daughter, by the way. I just want to make sure it's clear. But it's find somebody who's trusted, who wants to learn, who likes to do that, right? That's the same concept as building out your teams, right? Hey, you love scheduling, 17 swim lane Gantt charts. I think I need you on my team, right? I'm going to poach that because I don't like building 17 swim lane Gantt charts, right? So that's it, and it's just got to find the tools, the time, and kind of make sure you put the controls in place.
Very good. Thank you, Mel.
All right, Yogesh.
Hey, thank you for your presentation, Mel. I have a specific question about delegation in a new setting. Especially if you're in a new place and you're working with like new stakeholders or new team. Any strategies on how to quickly size up what the team members want and help them achieve what they want? Question behind that question is like I was in a situation recently, like where I worked for an organization for a few months, tried my best to help the team, but some of those intentions were sometimes misinterpreted. Like, who's this guy? I didn't kind of realize like there was a lot of apprehension. So that's the question behind the question. Sorry, go ahead, man.
I love this. So because I knew I was probably going to be short for time, I actually took one slide out on building trust out of mine. But I'm good as we talk. And can we go over like on time a little bit?
We have a standing meeting we need to jump to as a team,
Okay.
but we can go over a little bit.
Here. Okay. So Yogesh, the first thing that I do when I come into a team is I build trust. Right. And I have to do that at the speed of trust, blah, blah, blah. Right. I have to do that very, very quickly. Right. This is why I share that the following slide, which again, just give me a split second. I do present this to my teams. I just want to be perfectly clear. This is how I can, the only way that I know to accelerate the most incredible. Let me turn this one up. Oh my gosh. Y'all are gonna be hopefully excited about this one, because if not, then I haven't done the job. Second. Okay. Now I'm gonna share. Oop, and I forgot this one had music in it too. Just bear with me. So one of the things that I do is right after that slide where I have the Burger King kind of slide, I walk into, now let me walk you through how to take it from an extreme of that kind of vulnerability and sharing. I have another example that showcases a little bit more. It kind of creates a quadrant of things that I want, aspirations. So there's different layers to this. This is the go extreme layer, right? So I want to make sure that everybody here on this call knows that I'm Puerto Rican. I was born in Puerto Rico, raised in New York, and I live in California. I want to make sure that everybody understands, and I'm doing it very quickly. I was that mustard turtleneck wearing little kid who had no idea about anything in life. I had hair, people, in high school. I had hair. Okay. I hated going to school. I was disgruntled, right? I was the pie eating champion in college. I love photography. This is one of the wallpapers that inspired me to stay focused, be driven, and be helpful in 2019 to 2020 to move. This is my family down by like Costa Mesa when we came to visit in 2019 for my daughter to go to school. I love coffee, and if anybody knows me, my cafecito, and I love reading. This is a picture of the sunset in April of 2019. Venice Beach, just before I told my wife we're moving to California, and she slapped me. No, I'm kidding. But what did I do? I took an overlay of a motivational piece that I wanted to inspire me. So this is my second monitor. Okay. This is my team and one of my jobs that for Halloween, they decided they were going to dress up like me. So they put on goatees and hats. This is me at Venice Beach wearing the Guy Fieri I don't have hair hat. Okay. So do you trust me more now? Don't hold back. Be vulnerable. That one slide, everybody's laughing. Everybody gets it. Everybody does that. There's team exercises that I do. That's the first thing I do when I build out a team. Is I go through and we go through a couple of team exercises. Some of them are in some of the slides, but it's you have to build trust in order for you to start to ask for things, in order for you to understand why, if they're sus, if they think you're a sus, if you're sus, they're going to be like, this guy's going to try to fire me. He's trying to clean up. They're bringing reorganize. No, you've got to be open about, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help your career. I understand this is where you came from. I have no judgment. This is where I'm at. And when you share something like this and you're open like that and you're vulnerable, that's how you have to do that, right? You have to do that level of piece and then ask them how can you help? How can you help them with their goals and aspirations? It's hard. It's hard from a leadership standpoint. There's a ton of things that you have to work on, but if you can get a hook on some of them, it's fantastic. It's 9:03. Oh, for the love of me. Oh my gosh, it's late. Sorry. Thank you, everyone. Please link in. I apologize for being late, but I hope I made up for it with content and excitement. And I'm only working on 1 cup of coffee. Imagine if I had 2.
Good Lord.
Great
Mel,
job.
we so appreciate you. Wonderful. Thank you for supporting this community and being such a great motivational speaker this morning with great insight. Thank you. Thank you. To all of you, have a great weekend. We so appreciate each of you individually being with us. Thank you so much. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Take care.
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
All right,
Bye,
thanks
guys.
everyone.
Thanks.